the practically. So organizing is also enriching. We all will be gaining a lot of intellectual qualities. We're adding up a lot today. So looking forward for a very nice interactive session with our own Alak Buragohain sir. So I welcome sir and thank you for your valuable time. So over to you.
2024, you can see so many decades, more than 4 decades. So largely, I started my journey as a teacher, and I'm still a teacher. And pedagogy has been embedded in me, and the way I developed it and evolved myself as a teacher. So most of my deliberations will relate to my experience, but then in order to give it an academic perspective, certain things, certain points, certain theories, certain approaches rather, I have brought into the discussion. I will bring to those things a little later. Now, certain terminologies we have to be clear about. Pedagogy, and there is another term called didactic. There are 2 approaches in teaching learning. One is pedagogic approach, the other one is didactic. Didactic approach is the one that we generally are very familiar with. We come to the class, we have a lesson plan prepared before that, and on the basis of a syllabi that was curriculum that is already there, right? And then we come to the class and we deliver the lectures on the subject, on the topic that is there in the lesson plan derived from the curriculum. That is it. It is absolutely and solely, completely, it is teacher-centric. And the students are basically passive listeners. Once in a while they will raise questions, but then the focus is on the teacher. So that is a didactic discourse. Now, it has been, when we were students, and we were also beginning to teach, basically it was the didactic path. There is a different way of teaching school children. You do not give to a nursery class student or a primary class student notes, right? You don't give lectures also. You take them to the plays, right? You just embark upon some kind of interactions with them, right? Very free. It's not structured at all. But in the process, you get to know the child individually almost, right? Assess them, the needs, and then you deliberate upon how to take that child forward in acquiring the basics of ABCD or 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever. I think that is the way pedagogy is. Pedagogy, I will not take you into the etymological origin of the word pedagogy. Basically, the pedagogy, Latin meaning is a servant who used to accompany the children of the rich people to the school. And on the way, the curious child will ask 10 questions to the accompanying servant. And the servant would try to satisfy the curiosity of the child. And that is how the term pedagogy evolved. It began like this. Syllabus, curriculum, lesson plan to be displayed on the, earlier we had the Royal Nail. I think today I do not know where you put in. I think there is still a way to, announce or display, make the students know about what I am going to teach this morning or in the coming semesters, every class that I would go. So that is there. And we come to the class and students expect that I will lecture. Am I right? And at the end, we will have some kind of assessment, summative assessment largely and all that. But in pedagogy, we have seen the limitations of this process, and therefore, the method has been, the focus has been in teaching learning in the classroom has been shifted to pedagogic approaches. There are several methods. I will take you into that later on. But what is very, very important is, in the teaching learning process, if it is didactic, you come with a prepared note, right? You give the lecture and you go back. You remember, make notes what you have taught, and you set questions from that. It is very, very inorganic. It is very mechanical. You agree with me? It is very inorganic. Half the time you may not know who you are lecturing on individually. It's a crowd, a student. But then the point is, teaching is a very, very organic process. It's a very organic process wherein you get to know as a teacher, educator, you have to understand the perceptions, the understanding, the attitudes, limitations, aspirations of each and every student, which is very difficult in a large room, in a large classroom. It is difficult. But if you have the will, you can do that. You can strategize. You can strategize. You can make small groups of students. If you have a class of 40 students, even 200 students, you can make groups, and you can go for what we call as separate interactions with them, and get to know who is what. Right? This knowing, developing an understanding with students is the essence of pedagogy. You have to know, unless it becomes very mechanical. Right? It is difficult, but you have to know that. What happens is this, you have to remember that often we say that the students here, or for that matter in general, majority of the students are not up to the mark. Not up to the mark. That is the assessment that we make. That is the presumption that we make. 40 plus years of teaching, I have never assessed any student, right, in the classroom in terms of their already evident credentials. That, oh, he was a rank holder. Oh, he was the first div. He was a star mark holder, right? So I never made any assessment on that. Right? And if you make that, if you start the class with that assumption, oh, he's a very bright boy, she's a very bright girl, right? And even people make differentiation between boys and girls. So these are absolutely unethical. I'm mixing ethics. So this presumption is very unethical. Discrimination, that is the foundation of discriminating your pupils, your students. You cannot discriminate. One is good, one is bad, one is right. And that brings in, oh, C is a she, and that's why mathematical C is weak. These are the cultural baggages that we have. This is true, unfortunate, but this is true. So therefore, we expect that there will be laggards. Right? The very use of the word laggard in the class is objectionable. The very use of the word leveling of the students as laggards, right, is unethical, objectionable. You should not do that. You never should do that. I'll give you one example why we should not do that. I will often relate, as I said in the beginning, I will relate my story to my experience. When I joined Tezpur University, we were back in 96, 97, the first batch of 10 students we admitted in the Department of Molecular Biology, Biotechnology for a master's program, 2-year program. There was no taker, first of all, because nobody knew what this subject is all about. They know about biology, they know about the different branches of biology, zoology, botany, microbiology, but nobody knew what is this subject called molecular biology. Biotechnology, of course, was known to people. Then the first question was, what will happen to this program? What will happen to me if I study this program? So that was a lot of deterrent to attract good students in the first few years. So first batch, somehow we got students, 10 students. There were 2-3 girls. And except for the girl, the rest of them, their academic credentials, as evident from their results in matriculation, higher secondary, BSc, is absolutely below the average. People dismissed them. And they were not eligible for master's program admission in any of the universities. And all the residual 10 students, except the girl, we admitted. They were all third divisions, second class towards the end and all that. Then my colleagues, they were all young. One came from United States of America. He spent 10 years doing postdoc with a Nobel laureates group. Then 2 people came from JNU, very high profile research group. One from BHU, one from Banaras Hindu University, 2 from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. I also came just a couple of years back, I came from England. Then I was the head of the department, and it was a tremendous emotional responsibility for me. How to convince my colleagues that they are good. This point, do not discriminate, do not discriminate, do not dismiss them. They may be third divisionists, second divisionists. They said, so what will happen now? What will happen to us? Why have we come here? This level of students, this quality of students, what do you expect? Molecular biology, the cutting edge in biology. How do you teach them? I said, please, do not underestimate them, do not overestimate them, do your job. Only 10 students. We can understand their lacuna. Their major lacuna is they cannot speak English. They cannot express. That doesn't mean that they are good for nothing. So this understanding is very required, very essential. Where are the lacuna? Where are the lapses? Where are the weak points? Try to address. The rest will be easy. Right? Please remember, everybody is intellectually endowed. The intellectual endowment is there everywhere. It's natural, God-given. The fault is on us to understand it, detect it, and appreciate it, and take it forward. And we dismiss. We dismiss it. You understand my point? Now I continue teaching with them one-to-one, right? While assessing their answer scripts, I knew that when I explained my portion, when I taught them certain topics, I knew that they understood, because you can make out they understood. When I set the answer questions, and when I found the answer scripts, they were failing. Right? Then I never assessed like that. I called them. Answer script in front. The student in front. I said, I taught you this. Did you understand? Yes, I understood. Then this was the question. Sir, I know the answer. They explained to me, this is this. Right? But then they could not put it across in English in a very coherent manner. The problem was in communicating to me, rather than in their understanding and comprehension. See, this is a serious point. Right? Now you ask me, what happened to those boys? The one who was the first class, she was the first class first in zoology from Guwahati University. I think she went from Buragohain College, I still remember. Right, first batch. See, after MSc, she said, I said, what will you do? She did very well. She was the topper there also. She said, sir, I don't like this subject. I don't like this subject, I realized. I will not enjoy it. I said, what will you do? No, I better teach in a school. Right, I think probably she is still teaching in a school in Guwahati. I said, go, you enjoy it. Right, so she is still there teaching. Then another boy, halfway through, he came, he said, sir, I'm quitting. I said, where are you going? He said, sir, I got a seat in medical. I'm going. I said, okay, go. The rest 8, you ask me, except one. He had serious issues. He could not make up in this profession. He's doing some business, pretty small business. He's still in Guwahati. I see him occasionally. And the Baki, they are all professors, top scientists in some of the best European and American universities. Right? We dismissed them. We denied them admission in the established universities on the basis of their percentage. Right? And their outcome in those examinations, on hindsight, I believe, is an outcome of our pedagogy also. You understand what I mean? So their outcome as a third div, second div, is not their outcome alone. These are the outcome of ours as well. In failing to understand what are their limitations, what are their aspirations, what are their strengths, we always look at the weaknesses in classroom. We never look at the strength. Right? And for that, what is required? If you keep on telling all the time, you cannot make out anything out of anybody. Am I right? Didactic, you keep on lecturing. How do you know who is... Face is the index of the mind, no doubt about it. But face, that index can be wrong. Want to go? So, coming to certain basic understanding in teaching, you have to remember, I will come to the theories, it falls back, my experience I will relate to the theories. I will not try to give you the theory and bring it to the experience. I will do the other way around, how true those things. The problem with us as teachers is that we never have any kind of professional training for teaching. We don't have, we just cross over. Today I am a master's student, I am doing research, I have been awarded UGC guidelines, minimum qualifications for assistant professor says that you have to be NET qualified, you have a master's degree, or at most you must have a PhD degree and you are qualified, and we interviewed you and you crossed over. From next morning you started teaching. The previous morning you were listening. Am I right? It's a huge crossover. It's a huge crossover. It's not just teaching, right? It's understanding human beings, their perceptions, their limitations, their aspirations, everything. So, and you don't have any way of knowing those things because you are blind to it almost, because you're either open onto the syllabi, you're either open onto the lesson, and you just keep going. Please correct me if I'm wrong, right? And you can interrupt me anytime. You must be having this kind of experience. So therefore, it is essential that in a classroom at this level, like at the school, one has to, as a teacher, have a thorough understanding of the perceptions of the students on a particular topic. I'm a biologist. Naturally, certain areas of biology is of naturally, interesting to me. And certain areas are absolutely, I do not like it. This happens in commerce, this happens in history, like in business. So I like HR, but I don't like finance. It happens, natural inclination. Similarly in yours, right? Hotel management, anything, in any domain. Because our faculties are not equal. Our mental faculties, intellectual faculties are not equal. So our duty as a teacher is to find out where my strength is. And you should not expect that I will perform equally in all the domains of my intellect. And there, as a teacher, I have to understand my challenge is how to make it interesting, which is not interesting to you. As a teacher, my challenge is how to make you interesting. The topic that is not of interest to you at all. How do you make it? That requires specific strategies. And it is only the teacher who knows it. It is only the teacher who will know it. How? By engaging with the students. Our engagement, this is a very nice, beautiful, powerful word. Engagement. By engaging with our students. You have to be in the classroom, you have to be interactive. You have to give an opportunity, a scope for the students to speak up. You cannot be a terror. You cannot be a terror in the classroom, right? The fear factor has to be completely dissolved, right? But at the same time, there has to be some kind of, they will have to look up to you with respect, with affection, right? And if you can build that bridge with love and affection first, respect automatically comes, right? You will get respect from them, but first of all, you have to give them love and affection and respect to them first. You can do it, you will do it. What is your problem? Let us listen to you, right? And then, so what I mean to say is this, that a teacher is not just an educator. You are a discoverer, and at the same time, you are a motivator. You have to motivate. If you fail to motivate and you are very mechanical, then your pedagogy is gone. I hope you agree with this, right? And please, for God's sake, never dismiss, he's a naughty boy, he's a very sloppy boy. Never dismiss students like that. Bring them to your fold. The only way to bring them to fold is love and affection, personal attention, right? This is very important. You half the problem of the classroom will be solved. No indiscipline in the classroom that way. But you have to talk to them in person. You cannot humiliate them. Two things which is fundamental to human beings' existence, no matter whether you are a 60-year-old, 30-year-old, or a 20-year-old, 18-year-old, even a child. Two things. One is on which every relationship is built. Right? Father and son, brothers and sisters, siblings, other friends and all that. Employer and employee. There are two fundamental premises on which this good human relationship is built. One is you have to give freedom. The other one, you have to give respect to the dignity of every individual. If you do not give that, you are creating problem for the students. You are a problem for yourself. I hope you understand. Everyone's dignity has to be respected. So somebody is not doing anything. You get irritated. He is distracting others. You make them stand up, shout at him, humiliate him. Right? You are proving yourself as one of the most stupid teachers in the process. It is not the way. One has to try to understand why he is behaving the way he is or she is behaving. Once you get into that, you solve it. But instead, very superficially, if you do that, and that happens, I think, more than half the times, we scold them. Right? We make assessment negatively. Very, very unethical. So you see how ethics goes with your engagement. Right, sir? So how do you engage? One is interaction, all the time. Interaction is feedback. Every time I give a lecture, even now, after this lecture, I will call Aruna and all. How did you like my lecture? That is the feedback. What is the psychological reason for this, desire to get feedback? The reason is, I have a mind, at the back of my mind, I have a mind to improve myself. Next time I will do better. I want to get I want to get the, what we call, feedback. I hope you understand. So feedback is very important. But don't do feedback like this. Feedback is a good mechanism, but it has become, like any other good process in pedagogy, this has been reduced to nothing. Once I was a head of the department in Tezpur, and one day at the end of the semester, I saw one professor dictating something, young. Right, dictating something, and boys and girls are very religiously writing. I thought, notes? Why is he giving notes now? Right, I just walked in. And when I walked into the class, that was a disaster for the whole class, for the teacher, and what a shock for me. The teacher was dictating the feedbacks, what to write. The teacher was dictating the students the feedback. Because that feedback will be confidential and it will go there. And he was dictating the students and they were writing. So this is the level of distortion and perversion a good system can fall into. I hope you understand what I mean. Right? This is not feedback. Filling up the form online, confidentially, right, without knowing who is writing what about the teacher. This is not the philosophy of feedback. Feedback is this. I am asking you, where did I make the mistake? That is the feedback. And try to figure out how next I can resolve this. That should be your mechanism for interactive process. Why do you interact? You interact to know. Know what? What are you? How successful you are as a teacher. Your self-assessment is important than you assessing the students first. How good am I as a teacher? If you expect better assessment score on the part of the students. So that we do not do. That we do not do. Most of us keep on complaining that students are bad. Students are bad. They are not. Believe me, they are not. Right? 47, 46 years of experience says that it is not. You can correct the most incorrigible. Right? You can correct. Right? It is not the head, it is the heart that matters most in pedagogy. All right? So this is very important. The other thing is, you should be responsive. You should be responsive to everything, every body language of the student, whereas you keep on teaching. You should be responsive. Do you have a problem? Do you have a problem? I think, do you have a question? Right. Make them feel that they're important. You know that they're distracted. You know that they're bored. You know, they're bored. They're not liking. But then ask a question in such a manner that he or she feels confident that he can ventilate or she can ventilate her, express her, actual feelings. You can dig it out and accordingly address. Be responsive. Sometimes you will find they have beautiful questions. Right? I will tell you one thing. If you want to survive, grow, sustain yourself as a teacher, as a good teacher, please remember, if you want to survive, flourish, sustain yourself as a teacher till the end of your life. I started 47 years back, I'm still teaching, I'm still interacting, engaging with students. I'm still guiding students for research. Ideas come to me to give it to the students, but how come the ideas come to me to keep me sustained in the process of research and teaching in an innovative manner, right? That is, at some point in time, you have your responsiveness to the students' queries, students' problems, students' expressions of interest or anything or lack of interest. No, that will, if you have that mindset, at some point in your life as a teacher, you will become the student of your students. I hope you understand. You become the student of your students. Sometimes at the end of the class, in any discussion, suddenly, this is not frequent, one or two students will ask you such beautiful questions, it will make you think for days together. Have you experienced it? Senior people? They will ask such beautiful questions. This is not frequent, this is rare. Because we don't have the culture to promote that kind of question. Right, but occasionally, but you have to give them the opportunity. You understand my point? Through interaction. And you have to respond to that. At the end of the lecture, I ask, do you have any questions? Could you understand this? They will ask me questions. Many a times I feel I do not have the answer with me. I must have the honesty to tell that I will give you this answer, I don't know. It's a beautiful question, but I will have to read and come back to you next week. That bit of honesty and transparency has to be there. It is not expected that one knows everything because I'm a master of the subject, but that doesn't mean that I'm a really master of the subject. There are so many questions unknown to us. But you have to be honest about it. Right? Honesty is absolutely again. That is ethics, basically. Alright? So therefore, this engagement, interactive, responsive, and always teach. Not the way I am lecturing now. It has to be dialogic. You encourage dialogues. What do you think? I will show you a video at the end. Then you will realize how beautiful the whole approach of pedagogy is there. Right? So, can I play the... Now this is what I think this is the essence of good pedagogy. You have to be respectful, mindful of the students' needs, because every student comes to your class from different backgrounds, with different levels of understanding of the topic you are going to discuss, with different perceptions. You have to negotiate them individually to raise them to the level of understanding that you desire them to have. Am I right? And of course your communication has to be really good so that they can understand. You understand? This is an essential tenet of good pedagogy. You have to be very, very good communicator. You have to develop. I have not, 47 years back I was not lecturing like this. Right? And I have not been trained, as I said, we crossed over overnight and we evolved. But there is a branch, there is a science called pedagogy. It's a science. They are doing their own research and they have come up with their own psychology-based, what is called, theories. Let us see some of the points these professional pedagogues tell us. This is what I have said from my life. Now any questions? Till now, sir. Baki khili dull, boring. More. I'll just run through because I have to finish it. 1. Oh, 1:30 no 1. Okay, good. 1. Do you have any questions? Younger ones. Absolutely. What I say and what you are experiencing now as a young teacher. Yes? Do you? Yes.
So actually what happened nowadays, what we see that even with simple thing what we discuss with the student, if the student is coming late in the class, if I ask them why you are late, you are not supposed to come late. They just get the teacher behave to be with us. These are the small thing and it goes to the higher level. Then we face very difficulties at that point.
So therefore, madam, so you have to be, it is not that, you cannot be that draconian that boy coming 5 minutes late, girls coming 10 minutes late, you will deny entry to the class. Give them. But ask them aside, why do you need to be? Did you oversleep this morning? Did not go to bed yesterday? Did you see a movie or something like that? Please don't do it next time. It is bad for you, not for me. Just give some kinds of counseling. Say 1, 2, 3 times you try that, you will have good results. You will have positive results. But openly, if you say, why are you late and all that, then back of the mind of the student, they will say, who are you to ask me this? None of your business. This is my class. If I don't want, I will not come. They are very rebellious. Please remember, they are very rebellious. Right? They will retort back. So you have to understand them. They have to understand. That day I was lecturing in one of these rooms, and I found I was discussing something interesting. They found it interesting, most of them. One boy was sleeping, just like this. Everybody was looking at him. He was absolutely, his head's onto this, and occasionally he was trying to pull up. I knew that something is wrong with him. It is not that he is not understanding my language or appreciating the topic. Something is wrong. I went near to him, not openly. I said, what is the problem? You are having some issues. He says, I have tremendous headache. He said, I have a tremendous headache, sir. I said, go and have some medicine. Right? So that is what it is. If I shout from here, hey boy, why are you sleeping? Go on. Isn't it? Oh, sorry, one goes to him. And I just put my hand on his back. I said, what is the problem? You having some issues, some problem? He says, I had a headache, sir. So he was honest. Right? This is the way. This is the way. I understood in my life, ultimate strength of a teacher is love. Love for the student, love for the subject. Right? Koi na Shraddhaban lavote jnanam. Shraddhaban mane eneko koi thaka tu nahoy. Shraddhaban mane you have love and respect for your subject, so you learn more. Right? So that is how you love, that you get the jnana. If you don't have interest, that means you have no respect. So how can you learn? You have to love your subject and you have to love your students. Because you love your subject, basically having achieved your degrees of the highest level, PhD, MSc. Still you love the subject. Why? Because you love to teach the students better. Right? So underpinning philosophy is love for the student. You want to make them better. I feel so good. Some of my students are taller than me. I won't achieve their heights. Right? One boy phoned me last Diwali from US. I thought he called me to say happy, greetings for the Diwali. I can name him. Amtukanti Day. Hey, Dumtumar Bitorlura. Or I said he was in US. He went to Oxford. You have to guide them as well. Right? He was just roaming around. I will tell his story, how pedagogy matters, and how this is also part of pedagogy. December, semester end, everything is over, every boy has gone home. He was there. Internet just has come, 95, 96, internet has just come and Tezpur University, we just got internet connectivity. This boy was roaming around. I said, in the evening, when we work late, I call, what happened? You're not going home? He said, I'll go home, sir, but I want to discuss certain things with me. I said, tell me. So, then I asked, what will you do now? That master's is over. He said, sir, I want to do a PhD. I said, absolutely, you are required to do PhD, do it. No, sir, I want to do PhD in your subject. My subject was virology. He said, I like your subject, sir, I want to do research in there. But I said, do it, absolutely good. I can help you. I thought he's going to do PhD with me. No, he was not. He said, I want to do PhD in virology, sir, in England, where you did. Look at his aspiration. Look at his aspiration. Right? And I respected that. I said, come. He said, but I do not know how to do that. How do I go to England to do my PhD? I said, internet is just there. You go, you find out in Oxford, in Cambridge, in my university, in Imperial, who are the people working on cancer, virology, and go through some of their papers. It is all there now. Read some of the papers. And then you find out which professor's work in virology is of interest to you. This is pedagogy. I'm guiding him. Right? Not in the classroom. Right? This relation is beyond the classroom. And this is what NEP 2020 says, not student-centric. Not teacher-centric, student-centric. This is what it is, beyond the classroom. Then after 5 days, 6 days, he comes to me. He says, sir, I'm interested in these two professors. He brought the printouts and showed me. I said, now you develop a project proposal and write a letter to him with your CV that I have gone through your research work. I am very interested in it. I am a fresh postgraduate. If you have a position, my funding like you have to have a project position, I will go. He wrote 3-4 letters to 3-4 professors in Oxford, in England. Basically, he was interested in going to England. Maybe I was talking too much about England, coming fresh from England. Maybe, I don't know. It could be. Then, some 10 days later, they are very prompt. He came, he says, sir, 2 professors, they are responding me. Now they want to talk to me. So, but I don't, take a mobile to bell. I said, you give me, give him my telephone number, landline telephone number. And they know the time. And he was interviewed for 2.5 hours on the phone. Right? I don't know how much Tezpur University had to pay because that was an official telephone, overseas, long distance. And he was selected for a PhD in Oxford. Right? And that was the beginning. Right? Tarpisot he postdoc, he went for a postdoc in America. Then he was still in touch. That is the relation, pedagogy. That is the strength of power of pedagogy. And he joined a very famous international pharmaceutical company as the chief. He became the chief of research of a particular disease area. Fine. Then I thought he is there doing well when he comes to Guwahati, when he comes to Tezpur. He married from Tezpur, same batchmate, mathematics student. He comes, he talks to me, says hello, visit career, relation ase. Then, that Diwali he phoned me, sir, I have been offered the position of director of the Vaccine Research Institute of Melinda Gates Foundation. You know Melinda Gates Foundation? Bill Gates was going it. Huge, most respected research institution. Vaccine research. It COVID and he was offered the post of director. Right? So that is why I said, my students become taller than me. Not on my life I would expect that kind of a position from me. And what kind of joy and satisfaction that gives. Right? So this is the outcome of pedagogy. Both sides. Right? So you are engaged, what I mean to say is this, you are engaged in a very, very organic, very, very human exercise, lifelong. If you can have this kind of engagement, you become very passionate about teaching. And if you fail, it cannot be passionate. It will be devoid of passion. Mechanical. Right? And I'm sure when a student of yours does better, I think you feel very good about it. Right? No money can give you that joy. Absolutely correct. So, interaction, responsive, and dialogic. You have to talk. You have to listen. Dialogic is a different thing. I will take you into this. Now, coming to pedagogy. Another thing you have to remember, we are in a rush. Syllabus is to be covered, questions have to be set. We rush. We never give any attention or respect to the learning process. You are concerned about completing your task at hand. This is absolutely empty pedagogy. Right? Learning is always incremental. Learning is a very incremental process. You cannot give them overnight, over 2 lectures, everything that is supposed to be given to students. Don't expect that. And incremental also, it varies from student to student. Some people will grasp certain topic very fast, and some people will never grasp. You understand my point? You have to understand where the gap and take accordingly strategic steps into your teaching learning individually. In a group, maybe 3-4 students, you organize it. There comes the question of tutorials. Right? Tutorials is not only for the failed students, they are for the good students as well. Right? You have to tutor. I only have a separate lecture for you on tutorials someday later. Now, now you start from this. Now, go back. Next. Pedagogy important. It's very important because it involves critical thinking. It's a very good of our behavior versus lectures. Passive learning with high failure rates. Passive learning is bad. You keep on lecturing and students will not pass. These are evidence-based. These are null. Next. See, there are different ways of pedagogy. Different methods, different profiles. Some people would love to listen. Right? Very effective. They can learn very effectively if they can listen to you. Auditory. It is not done. It is not possible. Only listening. Then, internalized information. Auditory learners absorb knowledge through hearing and verbal engagement. Auditory. This is dialogic also. Then, reading aloud at school. Then, class participation, often enthusiastic participants, and class excel in verbal. So, some people will be very talkative. They will be participating more in the dialogue than others. So, that means, for some people, this mode is better. You have to identify. Some people will be very silent in the classroom. Right? Your challenge is there. Then, conversation and understanding. They benefit from listening. And conversational mode, not in a group. You converse. Next. This is. I can never sit and deliver the lectures. I don't remember ever sitting and delivering lectures in my life. I keep on moving. Right? Your body language matters. Right? This is called tactile. Right? If the teacher keeps on moving and delivering with, that reflects how passionate you are, and that draws the complete attention of the students to you. Right? But you are very passive. A few days back, maybe last year, I walked into a class. Generally, I walk into classes with due permission from the faculties who is doing the class. I said, I would love to listen to your lectures with your permission. So I sit in the back. She was giving fantastic lecture. BA, 3rd, 4th semester. Fantastic lecture. I will not name, of course, unethical. And I noticed, I enjoyed. If I close my eyes and only listen, it was one of the fantastic lectures. But when I opened my eyes and looked around, 90% of the students were thoroughly bored right? Could not understand anything, I'm sure. At my level, I could understand, but at their level, and she was absolutely oblivious of the responses from the faces of the students. She was looking on the ceiling, here and there, and delivering the beautiful lecture. Right? So her assessment is that I have given a beautiful lecture. She went back happy. But the students, not at all. I said, this is not the way. You have to move around, you have to go and strike a conversation, elicit the opinion about what she is talking. Do you really agree with this? What I'm saying, do you really agree with this? After you break the ice, they will say, no, sir, I don't agree. Madam, I don't agree. Then what is your point? That is dialogic. You understand my point? Right? Even teaching how to make a cake. Right? So, you say that my experience is that if I use a pinch of this and this, it gives a very good result. So do you really agree with this? Have you made any cakes? She would say, my guys will say, my experience is otherwise. If I had not only this pinch of this, but also add this, that is incremental, that adds to the beauty and value of the deliberations. This will happen to social science theory, this will happen to law, this will happen to anything. I will give you a beautiful slide for you. Right towards the end. So tactile. Lecture, they don't like lecture. They don't learn only through listening to lectures. They want to do. Somebody wants to do laboratory. You are teaching them, what is it called? Your software?
SPSS. SPSS.
No, SPSS and then commerce students are...
Tally.
Huh?
Tally.
Tally. You give on lecturing beautifully. But you see, students are not interested. But give them the actual things to play. They will learn better than from your lecture, than from handling that, fiddling that, right? Rather than from your lectures. You have to identify who is for what. Right? Practicals, very interesting. You can take them to challenges with theory. Some people do not understand theory. They don't like theory. Maybe I don't like theory. That's why I kept my lectures on theories towards the end. Right? So, then hands-on understanding, focus through movement. Focus through movement. If I move along in the lecture, my passion is so infectious onto the students, their entire attention will be focused on me. Right? So, you have to develop this body language. You cannot be a passive transmitter of knowledge. No one can be a passive transmitter of knowledge. Right? Adaptation. Online learning has given a lot of tools for interactive things and all that. So that is it. Next slide. Visuals. Some people are interested in visuals. Right? And visuals of the right kind. So biologist, if I have a problem to discuss, some people rather than telling that photosynthesis is this, it has got this kind of ecological functions and all that. If I tell it like this, nobody is interested. But if you draw a cartoon, a graph, a flow chart, some people will learn. Immediately, what is there? Try to understand. Electronics people, they will not like flow chart. They will not like cartoons. They will like a circuit. They will like a circuit. Right? And they will appreciate that. Orientation, perceptions. Right? So you have to understand and you have to cater to all categories of these people. You have to cater to all these categories of people. There goes your understanding of the students. You give them projects accordingly. You have to. Next. This one, a notes bhalpai. The traditional ones. Without a note, their life is gone. Key lecture, they say, right? But discuss that. I learned better in a college when I was teaching. Those days, just the internet was not there. I had 3 basic books. I used to study. I used to prepare my lectures, write beautiful notes. Right? I went to the class, and when you prepare the notes, you acquire a lot of understanding, clarity. Right? And I never went to the class memorizing or anything. I read, and I go and I stand, and just like today, I didn't know till I opened my mouth what is the structure of my lecture. It had taken me over. The structure took me over. Rather than I took over the structure of my lecture. The structure took me over. Right? And looking at your body language and your attention level and all that, I find that it is okay, the structure is fine. Otherwise I would have changed. But if I would have been guided by the structure, there is no space for me to change the structure now. I wanted the structure. Do you understand the difference? Right? So go to the class with an open mind. First 5-10 minutes, opening remarks will be crucial for you deciding the structure of your lecture. Right? That needs a lot of practice. Practice means experience. Overnight you cannot do that. Then I used to write the notes. Gave me tremendous amount of confidence and understanding. Solidified my understanding of the basics of the subjects I used to teach. And when class to I used to give I began teaching girls. My journey began at Handy Girls College. Can you imagine, of all places? Right? A lot of factors was having its effect on me as a young teacher. I was hardly 23-year-old. PhD, CSD, Corona, Siddha after MSc, I was a topper, then straight I got the job. And what was at the back of my mind was that I cannot lose my face before these young girls, number one. I cannot lose my face. The same thing with you. No one can afford to lose one's face before these young students. Right? In my case, it was all the more because they were all girls of my contemporary age almost. So I did very well. And I prepared the notes because I knew that they would not have access to those books I was preparing my notes from. Not easily available books. I used to handwritten notes. And my mother used to crack jokes. For your own examination, for your own studies, you did not give so much of labor. Right? So, but anyway, I took it. And at the end of the class, I used to give the lecture notes. And they would all rush to the other end of the Digoli Pukri. There was a small Xerox. Right? And I will get back the notes. That paid me so well. Can you imagine? I'm telling my story because to give strength to your aspirations. Then I applied for an overseas fellowship for my PhD. Got it. Right. There was a process. I got it. I was selected. From Handy College to Imperial College. Can you imagine the jump? Right. And when I have gone there, I thought I was prepared to come back after 3-4 months because I knew that what is Imperial College. I knew about it. I was mentally prepared. I'll have to come back. So, okay, Kushu, don't congratulate me too much. I'll have to come back. Many failures at Imperial. Then I discovered myself. My experience of teaching 2-3 years, those young girls, paid such heavy dividends. Immediately I earned respectability in my group, in my lab. Why? They're highly specialized. In biology, if they know virology, I was doing research in virology, they do not know anything about genetics, the fundamentals of genetics. They do not know anything fundamental about cell biology. If any such questions, obviously, biology is biology, everything will come. When those things came, what is this? Then it was me who could give the answers because I had taught them all subjects. Because I was young, every senior faculty said, you teach this, you teach this. I used to teach so many different subjects. So that was paying such heavy return to me at the end. So my respectability was there. My confidence was gone. Forget about respectability. My confidence level had gone. I coped very well there. So every bit of effort that you make for your students, what I mean to say is, in your pedagogic exercise, will pay you at the end of the day. Some point in life. If you go with that attitude, you will not get anything. But if you do your pedagogic exercises with due diligence, it will definitely go pay dividends to you at some point in your life. Otherwise, it's an intellectually enriching experience. You understand? But you are under pressure. There's a more of rhetoric to you. 4 or 5 classes a day is too much, but you have to make out, you have to read. Next year, say? 6 essential. These are the theory. One is constructive vision. This is a pedagogic theory. constructivism, I will not go into the details. Constructivism is a theory of pedagogy. This is an approach, one of the 4 or 5 approaches. See, there, it rests on a philosophy which presumes that every student has a unique intellectual aptitude. Every one of you has a unique intellectual aptitude. The one I have told you in the beginning. Don't dismiss them. Don't discriminate them. Am I right? They have their unique. But it is your duty to identify what is that. And when you do that, you cannot give on lecturing. Didactic thing is gone now. When you go to the class, first thing is you have to identify what is the baseline level of understanding of the concept. What is the present understanding on which you are going to help them build on the level of knowledge, new knowledge. But you have to understand where is the basic premise on which you are going to build on the level of knowledge. Am I being able to clarify Buddha? You have to assess what is the level of understanding. One or two questions, right? And you find out. And accordingly, you engage them with their own level of understanding. So their pace of learning will be different, but they will be learning on their own. No one will be with a zero kind of knowledge level, right? So as a result, what happens is at the end, you just give them, you help them, right? You help them in learning process, but you do not really transfer the knowledge to them. You understand? There is a difference between transferring the knowledge to them by lecturing, giving notes, suggesting reference books and all that. By enabling to raise the questions involved in the topic, in the concept, right? You enable them to also seek answers to that and go for a discussion. And that will lead to different levels of understanding of the same topic, different levels of understanding. And they will feel so good. They will feel there's a feeling of ownership. I took it out. This level of concept, I took it out so that ownership is very important. Right? This is called constructivism. Right? Basically, I will give you the slides, you can read it. Next, inquiry based. Inquiry based is I will show you the slide toward the end. Because I keep listening to the lectures of famous professors in Cambridge and Harvard and Oxford and all that. You please do that. You go to the YouTube, you find not the TED lectures. TED lectures are not classroom lectures. You know the TED lectures? You go for the YouTube classroom lectures. They are beautiful lectures by professors on different topics. Beautiful. And you can learn a lot about pedagogy from that. So I will show you at the end how Professor Michael Sandel is a very renowned, one of the most renowned contemporary philosophers of education today. He teaches in Harvard, Oxford, and one of the lectures I have, bit of it, I'll show. He falls back upon this inquiry-based pedagogy. So there, you make the students feel so good. Again, similar to these are all overlapping concepts. But here you ask them questions. Give them the methods to seek the solution and also the answers to the solution. You throw a question to the student, and in order to get the answer to the solution, you give a method also. How to think, how to derive at that solution. You give the solution also. But they will understand, the whole process of understanding a new thing. Next, you can also throw only the question and the method. You don't give the answer. Do you understand that point? This time you don't give one component. The answer you don't give. Solution you don't give. So here's the problem. You solve it. This is the question. This is the method. Third, you give them full liberty. You raise any question you like on this topic and follow what kind of method you use, your choice, and come back with the solution and discuss. I do not know how you will contextualize with commerce and all that, but this is quite possible. Quite possible. Right. Then next one. Socratic method. Socratic method is the most fundamental method. Socrates, 450, 460 before Christ. Pioneering teachers. He very famously said, he was a very revered teacher. Disciples used to go to him. And he said, I never taught anybody anything. He was a famous teacher. He said, I never taught anybody anything. I only made my disciples think. Critical thinking. I only made my students think, look at the world and think. And come with their own solutions and answers. And develop their own worldviews. Right? But the question is, taking the attention of the disciples, the students, to certain phenomenon, certain events, certain processes in the world, and also about life. That is crucial. What kind of question you raise? What kind of question you want your students to look at and think through observation? What is critical thinking? Because these days people talk a lot about critical thinking. Socratic method is the foundational method for critical thinking, for fostering critical thinking. What is critical thinking? Critical thinking is essential. This is my understanding. I didn't get any, encyclopedic kind of definition from any source. My understanding of critical thinking is the ability to gather data of what you observe or what one observes on any project, on any problem, on any issue. It may be about the real world phenomena. It may be a market phenomena. It can be a business phenomena. It can be a phenomenon in the industry. It can be a phenomenon in the classroom. Any phenomenon. Right? You collect whatever though that requires very hard observation. The ability to first observe and collect the data, then process it. Why are you observing what you are observing? Why are you getting this observed set of data through your observation? And that is a mental process. Learning is a mental process. Learning is fundamentally a learning, is a mental process. Your mind, your cognitive abilities, everything will come. I will not take you into that. So when you do that, right, and arrive at it, that will lead you to some solution, some answers. So that is critical thinking. The ability to look at the world, not blankly, on anything that you are interested and engaged in, and get the data, the observations. By data, I mean the observations, and analyze why are you observing the way you are observing? Why? Right? The mental process begins, and that is the process of self-learning. And that is the best method, the Socratic method, questioning. Questioning. You understand? And questioning and examining for the answers. Socrates was again very famous in his statement that examining and raising questions and examining world and the life and developing the worldview about life and the world is so very critical that he said that an unexamined life is not worth living. An unexamined life, quote unquote, is not worth living. So much of importance that you have to make your students look, think, examine, process, answer, why, and that is revelation. That is the Socratic method. Right? Marketability, commerce. Why is it happening? Why this? You can raise many questions. What will be the impact of e-commerce on these petty trades? The larger economic impact. You can ask what is the impact of online digital marketing, right? What is the impact on digital marketing on these malls, used supermarket? So many things. They go there every day. They can relate immediately, right? These are hardcore theories of your subject. Digital marketing theories are there, isn't it? So rather than taking them to the theories, take them to the real world. Make them think, make them look at it. Give them assignments, right? So that way the learning will be better, right? But then again, the whole exercise of pedagogy is built on love and affection, and not just love and affection. With this love and affection, you have to build trust, mutual respect and confidence. You have to let the boys and girls go to the market, observe this. You, this group, go there. You, this group, you go to this bazaar. come back with your observations, but you cannot, you cannot go on tracking them. Phone ta korisu, bhala nai, ki korisa. This micromanagement is dangerous because that will take away the trust. Right? They will have to believe, you have to believe in them as much as they believe in you. And they will come back with all sincerity, I tell you, sir. You have to believe. If you don't believe, if you don't have, our relationship is organic, and organic relationship is built on not only love and affection, but on mutual trust, mutual confidence, and mutual respect. Any system it is true, whether it is business, whether it is family, whether it is you and me, student and the teacher, everywhere. You have to keep on trying, build this system up, and this is the culture of pedagogy. This is the culture of pedagogy. Next, what is it? Integrative learning. This is the higher level learning. So at the higher level, you give them certain ideas, certain theories, certain topics, concepts, and ask them to integrate with certain other ideas from other subjects. Herein comes the multidisciplinarity. Right, especially in social science. In social sciences, you know that here is a social problem. Right, this is happening. You have your social science theories coming into play. You have all those Weber, your Marx, everybody coming in. But then, a political science students will have a different perspective on the same problem. Why is it happening? You understand my point? Right? So, when you raise the students to a level of understanding of a particular idea about a particular concept, you should expose them to explore other ideas and how they can be integrated. This is a higher level pedagogy. This is all about multidisciplinarity. There are 3 levels of multidisciplinary. I mean, when we talk about multidisciplinary has got different meanings. One is multidisciplinary. There is a problem. You approach it by application of the theories, concepts, and tools of different disciplines. That is multidisciplinary. Forensic science is multidisciplinary. Here is a crime, right? You want to solve it, you have to understand it. You have to understand human physiology. You have to understand ballistics. You have to understand toxicology. You have to understand physiology, body physiology, psychology, everything. So you are not merging them. You are applying differently. That is multidisciplinary. Then comes interdisciplinary. Interdisciplinary, what you do, you take help of the concept of your idea, of your subject, in addressing the problems with the help of others, and they merge together. In a way, they merge together. Biochemistry. Right, you understand, the approach is to understand life processes through 2 processes, 2 approaches, 2 subjects, 2 disciplines. One is your biology, the other one is chemistry, biochemistry. Sometimes, sometimes.
How do you explain law to be a multidisciplinary?
That is for you, because I am not an expert in law.
No.
But law has got a very strong connotation with society, sociology, social science, with commerce, industry, psychology, everything. Right? You have to ponder over it. But I am giving you the broad idea. Then there is the one called transdisciplinary or cross-disciplinary, absolutely transdisciplinary. Then there you merge the ideas of 2-3 subjects, 2-3 subjects, and develop a new subject altogether. Bioinformatics is an altogether new subject. You take biology, the concepts, you take genetics, you take computer science, and you take informatics. All 3 together is a different subject altogether, and they have their own objectives, they have own goals to carry on their work. Bioinformatics is not biochemistry. Right? Biochemistry is not biology. So these are different levels of multidisciplinarity. So how to negotiate, how to enable the students to negotiate these different ideas from different disciplines and integrate it. Right? The common concept of multidisciplinarity is this, that you enable the students to study different subjects together, big basket, choice based. A student of physics may have interest in dance and music, and opportunity is given to study that. This is not multidisciplinary. Multidisciplinary is bring together two subject domains to solve a common problem. Right? I hope you understand this one. NEP says multidisciplinary, multidisciplinary, multidisciplinary. But there is a fine difference between multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, and transdisciplinarity. I've given you. You try to relate it with your own subjects. What are the possibilities? And accordingly, you have to enable the students through your pedagogy, integrative pedagogy, to understand and appreciate this kind of mixing of ideas, different ideas. In sociology and political science, it will be different. So you have to work out in your own. In psychology, it will be different. Next one. No. Nature of learning, different techniques, application. No, there is another one. You could say? Problem-based approach. Problem-based approach is absolutely, again, this is called in American, they use it very regularly. Even in IITs, they do it now. These are called capstone projects. Capstone projects. Capstone projects are, you teach them your subjects, normal pedagogy, right? And you also have a provision for giving the student one or two real world problems. One or two real world problems. Solve them. There is flooding. As soon as there is a rain, in wireless area there is flooding. No amount of correction of the drains could solve it. You ask your engineering students to go there, and this is a problem for you. You come up with solution. That is a capstone project. There is a real world problem. There are juvenile crimes. Lot of students, lot of young people are going for drugs, right, and other things. So you say that you go and study to whatever extent possible why they are going for this kind of behavior, delinquent behavior. There is a capstone study. They will come up with a lot of studies, a lot of things. You understand my point? Market behavior, similarly. Right? So, what is their mindset? What do they feel? Beltola, Kasari Bazar, the small petty shopkeepers. What is their mindset? What are their aspirations? What are their apprehensions in the wake of all those marketing, digital marketing, malls, supermarkets coming in? Right? They are also places for socializing. These small markets are also places of socializing. A lot of social interactions happen. Many things happen. We do not know. You send your students, give them some guidance. So that is a capstone project. This is a project based. They'll learn a lot. Not copy paste. Not copy paste. Reflective. Reflective pedagogy is again basically, reflection is on the part of the teachers, educator. You have to be able to reflect on your assessment of your approach, first thing. Am I successful? Right. And secondly also, allowing the students to reflect. Here is our Gurukul system with the meditation asili. You understand meditation?
Yes.
Meditation is a part of reflective learning. The Guru keeps on teaching, delivering, they listen, they memorize, right? A lot of memory part was there, memorize, and they then think. They think and think, a deep thinking. That is reflective. And they come out with understanding, which is called enlightenment at that point in time. So the same thing happens now in reflective learning. But it also involves, reflective pedagogy also involves reflection on the part of the teachers to think about or to make assessment as to their own approaches of teaching learning. Right? So these are the few things that I had in mind. I would tell you. First of all, I thought I will tell you my honest story now. I thought, Aruna, that I will tell you my story. Did I? Then I realized that as a professional academic, I should also give you something professional. Then I looked for one or two papers. I read one or two papers, good papers. And those two papers, I can also give it to you. Those two papers, I found most of the things are similar, constructivism, blah, 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 all those. Then how to make the slide. Then last night, I went to ChatGPT. I gave a few prompts. right? The same papers, things, they came in the form of beautiful points, right? And then later on I handed over, at 10:30 I handed over the whole thing to my son. I said, you put it in the PPT. He also went through ChatGPT and we made these beautiful slides. So ChatGPT is good. This is called prompt engineering, right? What you can do is you read first, read papers, then you search if anything more is there. You give the right prompt, like Google search. Prompt, you get beautiful, you find your whole reading thing has been organized. Artificial intelligence will do the thinking part, the organizing part. That is easy for you to place in the classroom. Another part of pedagogy. Another part of pedagogy coming in to make it effective, because I have mentioned technology coming in. You have to use technology. Saves a lot of time. I have a slide when I read it. I noticed they give it to the ChatGPT, give the prompt, right? They will organize the thoughts beautifully, and they will give you questions, further questions. How do I solve these issues, challenges in constructivism theory approach? Then you say answer, continue. Then you will get everything, right? Then you select. And slide preparation is a different matter. You give all the input and you say, I want in 12 slides all this to be accommodated. And they will give you heading and all everything. You know it. So, but then PPT, ChatGPT based PPT, based pedagogy is no solution to pedagogy. Technology can aid, right? Only aid. I'm giving you honest, an appraisal of what can happen in the presentation. So otherwise, if I had not, in the evening I was not well yesterday, if it did not occur to me that I should give something very professional, right, intellectual, then I read. Then while reading, it was a learning experience for me. But at the same time, I could relate that this is all I have practiced in all my life. Constructivism, integrative learning, all my teaching life, I practice only this. They have just crystallized into different kind of pedagogic theories. Nothing extraordinary. You understand? But definitely there are more to learn. So it's an experience by itself, and it is an experiment. Every day you are engaging in experiments how to teach better with better pedagogic methods. There will be better methods, there will be different methods of teaching. But the most important thing is engagement with the students by being interactive, by being responsive, and by being dialogic in your lectures. Right? Have respect for their thoughts and ideas. Simplify Korea. Physics can be simplified why not the rest? So,
video to training.
Huh? Video to recording. Video to power recording. See, what a lecture. I have seen it so many times. This professor,
This is a course about justice, and we begin with a story. Suppose you're the driver of a trolley car, and your trolley car is hurtling down the track at 60 miles an hour. And at the end of the track, you notice 5 workers working on the track. You try to stop, but you can't. Your brakes don't work. You feel desperate because you know that if you crash into these 5 workers, they will all die. Let's assume you know that for sure. And so you feel helpless until you notice that there is, off to the right, a side track.
the topic is,
And at the end of that track, there's one.
look at the side of the class.
Funding for this program is provided by. Additional funding provided by.
This is a course about justice, and we begin with a story. Suppose you're the driver of a trolley car, and your trolley car is hurtling down the track at 60 miles an hour. And at the end of the track, you notice 5 workers working on the track. You try to stop, but you can't. Your brakes don't work. You feel desperate because you know that if you crash into these 5 workers, they will all die. Let's assume you know that for sure. And so you feel helpless until you notice that there is, off to the right, a side track. And at the end of that track, there's one worker working on the track. Your steering wheel works, so you can turn the trolley car, if you want to, onto the side track, killing the one, but sparing the 5. Here's our first question. What's the right thing to do? What would you do? Let's take a poll. How many would turn the trolley car onto the side track? Raise your hands. How many wouldn't? How many would go straight ahead? Keep your hands up, those of you who would go straight ahead. A handful of people would. The vast majority would turn. Let's hear first. Now we need to begin.
Side of justice. How do you take decisions? A lot of theoretical, serious, intellectual, discourses are there on this. He goes to the class and he asks the students one thing. I am on a track, railway track. I'm going at this speed. I have another fellow with me, and I can see ahead that there are a group of workers working another trolley. They are also slightly moving, and they have no way of escape. If I go and if I go ahead, I will crash it on them, and 5 people will be killed. Right? And if I do not go there straight and crash them, there is another bifurcation or something, I forget, and I take it, but it will hit me on a wall or something, then we too will die. Right? What decision I should take?
Which is better?
With making 5 people die, or making 2 people die, one suicide and another fellow with me, and he is also somebody young or something. Right? That is the beginning of the pedagogy. He is for something serious, but he presents a very common episode to which everybody can relate, and everybody is saying that this, I will go for this, I will go for that. The next is why? Why have you decided to go straight and crash 5 people and save yourself? He or she has some answers. The other one will give. Then he takes them to. He builds on the lecture from their answers. So he has assessed the perception, basic perception of justice from the students before taking them to further. You understand my point? And by eliciting them, he also knows to what level they can be taken. You understand my point? So this is an inquiry base. Link to details always our Michael Sandel's lectures are fantastic lectures. You should listen. Right? He has got good books. One on justice, one for the other book is with me. I've read it. That is about merit. Right? He has to can ask you. Still, sir.
So in the present generation of Facebook Reels and YouTube Shorts, how to sustain students' attention for 1 hour or 1.5 or 2 hours?
So therefore, 1 hour take them to Facebook, take them to social media where they love, and then build a story from there only. The social media too, basically. Right? They would love. Right? A real kid was similar.
So my question is that
these are shorts and all that. Yes.
So I have a question. The attitude of the students 10 years back were different than the attitude
Of course, time is changing.
I want to share a situation.
But I am still surviving.
Yes. So I want to share a situation. Actually, in my previous organization, there was a student who was quite irregular in the class.
Mm-hmm.
and as a result, but he was involved in unethical practices within the university premises. My dean asked me to call the parents of the students. However, the parent was also supporting the student. So in this situation, how can you show the right path to the student?
Long, prolonged. A parent came to me. They are known to us somehow, not very friendly, but then they are known to us. And they said, Royal, আপনার ওটা ইমান লড়াছালিক pressure দিয়ে, so much of pressure on the classes, assignments. ভালে, it's good for them only. না তাহাঁতি নেটফ্লিক্সে চাব নোৱাৰে. Can you imagine parents telling me, সিহঁতৰ নেটফ্লিক্স চোৱাৰ সময় নাই, মই এনে পইচা দি আছোঁ. So that is the attitude of the parents. Right. So you have to go for course correction. Iman bahal strong culture ta banabo lagibo. The culture will automatically overpower those other things, and it takes time. It's a big challenge. Let me tell you other things. This experience is from Facebook, and this experience is from this university. Me. This is a big challenge for you. You have to face the students who go for generic electives. Mixed bag of students coming from different backgrounds. You never know what kind of baggage they have. So you are doing basically team teaching. You are teaching a team of different people with different backgrounds. Very difficult. Absolutely difficult. They have such set tracks of their mind, they will miss your track. But you have to be very, very careful. Kun background lora aise. You have to go to the class with little bit of very special preparation. I will tell you one story. In Tezpur, don't ever get me wrong that I am just highlighting myself. No, not at all. There was a master's program in nanotechnology. Not nanotechnology was not a big problem. There was a program in bioelectronics. Master's program in bioelectronics. 18 very good, brilliant BTech students from mechanical, computer science, they used to go for bioelectronics. And there was a massive biology part. And the electronics part, of course, was taken care of by electronics people. And one day, I was called in a meeting. There was a big problem. The dean's call. The biology, this bioelectronics part, the biology part, people are failing like anything, and nobody is attending the lectures these days. What is wrong? And all the big shots of the department, they had their try one semester. Then I said, let me try. I read a lot, their approaches. That is how I came to know that biologists like cartoons and they like circuits. I remember I told you, that is not out of box, that is out of experience. Right? So I sustained. I think I taught 4 or 5 semesters. Bio part. Here, in engineering, civil engineering, there is a civil engineering, there is a topic, big unit on biology for engineers. Biology for engineers, our people go. So honestly go, the Kumar jai, go play. Ki kore? Terrible. They all sleep, they don't listen. It is difficult. They bunk. Then I said, I will go. I said, you will have to come to me, my lecture. I took him along. You sit there in my class. Can you imagine? They found the whole thing so interesting. It all depends on how you take them along the path. You have to make it interesting. You have to throw good questions. Topic wise you go and just mechanically you teach, nothing will happen. Right? The first question I asked, how many horsepower pump do you use to lift water from your well at your home to the 3rd floor? That was my first question. They said they were very happy, they can relate. They said 1 horsepower, somebody said 1.5 and all that. I said, can you imagine the tall betel nut trees that touches the roof of the 3rd floor? Have you seen it? He said, yes sir, we have betel nuts along the boundary and on the 3rd floor up to the top. I said, have you ever pondered how come the plant, that betel nut plant, lift water from several feet below up to the treetop? The last cell of the foliage leaves there receive water, otherwise they will die. 1 horsepower, 1.5 horsepower. So that means there is engineering in biology there? Oh yes. This is how you have to relate. But straight away, if you say that this is the ascent of sap, this is how plants, lift water, these are the sails and blah, 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 you are a gone case. Right? So then you can ask civil engineers. I showed them in Arunachal. So different districts have got different kinds of houses. The thatched roofs are different. The materials are also different. Right? Then I said, why are these patterns different? Do you know that? Though nobody knew. Because it's a traditional design. It's not traditional design. It's evolved by observing, by experiencing the different impact of the wind flow, the flow of the wind at different times. And accordingly they have, in this location, this is the pattern. In that location, this is the pattern. Right? A lot of engineering traditional knowledge goes. But if you straight away say that this is the mechanical strength of these, this is the slope and all that. So this no textbook will say. This approach no textbook will say. So that is why I say every classroom is an experiment for the teacher. Every classroom is an experiment for the teacher. What you say is an experiment. But you cannot leave your experiment too soon and too fast. Kotha bari bolibo. Right? That is how counseling আজিকালি খুব আহি গৈছে না সবকে কাউন্সেলিং লাগে বলি কয় আজিকালি এভরিবডি নিডস কাউন্সেলিং প্রফেশনাল কাউন্সেলিং উল্টা পুল্টা কাউন্সেলিং নয় So thank you. Any other? Hungry. I hope I could do some justice.